Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is the Breaker Bulletin for November 5th, 2024. All right, so what is the Breaker Bulletin? For those of you that are not familiar, this is the show where I go through and I break down all the things going on with Breaker Press Games, whether it's different crowdfunds, Patreon, or events coming up. There's always a lot going on with Breaker Press Games, enough that I need to do one of these shows every month. So, what happened in October? Now, obviously, this is November 5th, and I want to talk about October because normally the Breaker Bulletin drops around the 20th of every month. But in October 20th, I was at GameholeCon, or on my way back from GameholeCon. And so I'm going to break it down for you. So GameholeCon, that was in the middle of the month. I got to be in charge of the Goodman Games booth, which was a huge honor, and I was very excited to do. But right before I left for GameholeCon, a dog stumbled into my life. You might hear them barking in the background. But this pit bull stumbled into my life as I was walking Spooky, my other pit bull. And they were with another dog. And I ended up wrangling one of the two dogs. It's a whole long story, but I ended up managing to wrangle one of them and get them to Madak, which is the pound. And when I took them in, they were like, "Oh, this is a repeat offender. They've been here before. They look real familiar." And so they did the chip wand and were like, "Yeah, this dog is King. The other dog that you saw was Butter. The family has been here before. Yada yada." And they called earlier, so I figured this is story happily ever after. This dog is gonna make it back to their family, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. I'd be like, awesome, I did my my good deed with the help of some others, and everything is a-okay. And instead, I ended up, as I was getting ready to leave for GameholeCon on the Tuesday night or the Wednesday, I got a phone call from Madak, and they were like, "Hey, just so you know, the people, they were contacted, and they decided that they wanted to refuse to reclaim the dog." And his name was King. And so I ended up, they were like, "Do you want to take this dog in?" And I was like, "I do." And so ultimately, while I was at GameholeCon, they did the neutering and getting all the shots and all that good stuff. And so I picked him up on the Tuesday after GameholeCon. And so that first week, right after GameholeCon, that was like all like getting the new dog acclimated, cleaning up lots of messes, as well as doing the paperwork for GameholeCon. And so that is why we are late. But in that week after I went through all of the stuff with King is now DD King or DD Ramon. For those of you that know the story arc of DD Ramon and leaving the Ramones and becoming DD King, King is now DD King. So some of you will appreciate that. Some of you will be like, "What is this guy talking about?" That's okay. But in that week of Halloween, I had my game night, and then I also completed the K9 2.0. And for those that are not familiar with the K9, or why there would be a 2.0, so the K9 class was in Rabid Dogs, and then I ended up doing an individual class guide that was sent out to patrons. That was actually one of my first Patreon rewards when I figured out doing physical things every month was my shtick. That was going to be my go-to. And the K9, the original version, ended up going through I think 4 different printings, and a point was reached where the Pounce and Tenacious Grab abilities, I decided they should be mighty deeds. They shouldn't be abilities. And so I, understanding, the design philosophies behind Dungeon Crawl Classics and Mighty Deeds, and understanding the game better as time has gone on, and I've done all sorts of videos, I was like, it's time for a revision. And so the K9 2.0. This is available through the Breaker Press web store. I need to update the photo so that it shows that it's 2.0. But it's on Patreon. It's on DriveThruRPG. If you already own the K9 2.0 or the K9 PDF, you should have got a notification through DriveThruRPG that the K9 2.0 has been updated. So yeah, this is very exciting, and all of these shipped out to patrons yesterday. So yeah, exciting stuff. What else? Also having to do with the Patreon, the Bruiser 2.0. So similar to wanting to revise the K9, the Bruiser is actually the unarmed fighter, your brawler wrestler type, or your boxer wrestler type. It is the least popular of all the classes that I've created, and I sat down and looked it over and decided that there were a couple of things that I wanted to change with it. It has a new Rain of Blows ability, which is very similar to the volley fire of the Missileer. You can basically throw multiple punches, but with decreasing going down the dice chain the more blows you throw, and a bunch of other cool stuff. I think it is I punched up the class quite a bit, and then the chokeout ability, which was its best ability, similar to the K9. I felt like that ability really should have been a Mighty Deed, and so that got shifted to the Mighty Deeds. So that is the rough draft of that is on Patreon right now, and I'm still looking for feedback on that, but sometime between now and the end of the week, that will go to one of my editors to be completed so that can be shipped out to people. So, what else? Also, during the month of October, I worked a bit on Standard Courier 2.2 Volume 2. And Standard Courier Volume 2, I ended up doing a couple of spreads and getting those up on the Patreon page. Feel free to go and take a look. And additionally, oh man, there's dogs barking, and they're working on the house next door, which is on the other side of the camera. So you might have just heard a bunch of noise. I don't know. But I am going to forge ahead. So, that being said, let's move on to what's going on that's new and exciting. So Rabid Dogs Volume 2 is going to be my focus in November. Oh, I didn't talk about Peculiar NPCs. So Peculiar NPCs, how am I doing on time? I'm running along. Okay, Peculiar NPCs, I finished the design work in October on this card deck. Got the proof copy, made alterations to the proof copy. There's actually a little less text here. Moved this Breaker Press logo up more, shrunk Urhan Leech Gripper a little. All those little things that you do when you get a proof copy. And then I ordered the decks, and when I was building the shopping cart and everything was good to go, it was going to be finished in November. And then when I actually had the money after GameholeCon to pay for the print run, it was showing that the printing would be done in February instead of November. I'm wondering if that has to do with the fact that the Game Crafter, they're based in Madison, Wisconsin, they actually have a Kickstarter running right now, and I wonder if they pushed back all of their stuff because of the Kickstarter that they're running right now. That is perfectly possible and makes sense to me. But I looked to see today if it had improved at all, and instead it got pushed to early March, and that's a problem. And so we are going to look at during the week, for those of you that are waiting for Peculiar NPCs, particularly if you're waiting for all of the add-ons that you added on to Peculiar NPCs, as long as your shipping total reaches a certain threshold, I think I'm just going to ship your stuff right away, and then we will work on, for those of you that are impatient, the option to get these through DriveThruRPG instead, but they won't have the cool box art and stuff. That will be something that will be discussed on the actual Peculiar NPCs Kickstarter page. So keep an eye out for that. So yeah, what's going on? The month of November, the focus is going to be Rabid Dogs Volume 2. That is actually part of the reason why the Bruiser 2.0 is up on the Patreon page right now to get feedback. I wanted to improve the Bruiser now that it's gotten plenty of play testing, because the Bruiser is one of the things that is going to be in Rabid Dogs Volume 2. So I want to get it to where it should be. Additionally, this week I have on the to-do list to finish the GOAT class. I know that's something that I've been talking about for a while, but I'm in that headspace right now where I'm working on classes and should be able to get that done. And also want to finish the Business on Parade article, which there's one final 2-page spread that has a bunch of items for sale, what have you, that is part of that, some of the standard equipment. So, yeah, what else? Yeah, this month, it should be noted that I will be at UConn. So with UConn breaking things up in the middle of the month, I expect that Rabid Dogs Volume 2 should be finished by the end of the month, at least get to the printer by the end of the month, to ship either at the end of November or the beginning of December. I'm hopeful for the end of November, but we will see. But that is going to be the main focus this month, is getting Rabid Dogs Volume 2 done. All right, let's flip this over and take a look at what else we need to talk about. So, Standard Courier Volume 2 is coming along, especially in September and October. Mostly September, you saw a bunch of 2-page spreads get dropped on the Patreon page as work in progress things. Those things are available free. You don't have to have be a member of the Patreon in order to look at those things. I encourage you to go and take a look and give feedback. But yeah, those were the posts that were mostly in September and the beginning of October. I said in the last update, if you saw the last Breaker Bulletin, that I don't want to rush Standard Courier Volume 2. I am working towards the future, because we are almost done with the backlog. Once Rabid Dogs 2 and Standard Courier Volume 2 are out, that is the whole backlog. I ended up kind of burying myself for a while, and now that stuff is all going to be done and out in the world, which means that it is time to look forward to the future. One of the things that I'm going to do before we get into the I guess, you probably can't hear it. The microphone's probably not picking up, but I am hearing so much snarling. They are probably playing tug right now. These are the new things that I'm adjusting to. But the next crowdfund is actually going to be called Lurking Horrors, a standard bestiary or bestiary. That is going to be the next project. It is going to be a collection of a bunch of the monsters that have been in Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, the Precipice of Corruption, Hillwood Camp, Cleft in the Mangled Hills. I'm going to curate a list of a bunch of those into a the document is already started into a zine that'll be 40 to 48 pages. And that will be next, and that should be a quick and dirty thing. My goal is to have about 25% new monsters and 75% old monsters. It is something that I am excited about, especially because I want to add some additional details, like things like the types of treasures the different types of monsters will have, or tribal things with the Nolids. You may have seen that on my Patreon a number of months ago, where I did a 2-page spread version of the Nolid instead of a 1-page version of the Nolid. So yeah, these are all things that I'm excited to dive into. And the nice thing about that project is it won't be as time intensive, because almost all of these monsters are already published monsters, and I just am gonna tweak them a little. Yeah, that will be filled with updated entries of monsters from the various adventures. There will be new info and some new art, but it will mainly be a compilation for judges to use at their table. So, yeah, and that should hopefully pave the way for 2025, where I hopefully will have some big projects. But I want to get all this stuff out of the way, and usher in a new era for Stennard and Breaker Press Games. So that is everything that is going on with all of the Kickstarters and stuff. Real quick, I want to mention, so I did already mention that I was going to be at UConn this month in Ypsilanti. That is a week and a half away. But also I was tasked with my friend Jex to bring gaming to the Milwaukee Krampusnacht Festival, which is a one-day event on Sunday, December 1st, here in Milwaukee. It takes over the entire brewery district. Gaming is set to end an hour before the Krampus Parade, which is like the crown jewel of Krampusnacht, where you will see a bunch of furry demons wandering the streets of the brewery district in downtown Milwaukee. I got to go and vend there last year, and it was a great time, and I'm looking forward to we are taking over the entire mezzanine level of Pilot Project Brewing, and we'll have 6 tables of DCC, Bump in the Dark, Hunters Inc., and whatever else people decide to bring. And I am very excited for it. And it was very exciting spending the last couple of weeks in my free time learning how to build a tabletop events page. It was a journey. And I am thankful for for anybody that gave me feedback when they noticed that things were wrong. Shout out to Jim Myers for the big reveal that I had accidentally set the slots so that it was charging $40 for one game instead of $10, because it was charging $10 for every hour that the game was. Growing pains. So yeah. That is what is going on with Breaker Press Games. Sorry if I rambled on a bit much, but there's a lot going on. So thank you all for supporting indie games and indie game designers. This is Nick from Breaker Press Games, signing off.